Shikamaru might be about to lose his Hokage hat and title, but the person replacing him could be hiding in plain sight, because while Kobu wants Shikamaru kicked out of his office, he might accidentally hand the village over to somebody Boruto can actually trust. Konohamaru becoming the next Hokage sounds like the safest possible outcome until you remember Kashin Koji has already seen a future where removing Shikamaru makes defeating Jura even harder. And that means that Konohamaru finally achieving his childhood dream could come with the worst possible timing imaginable. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, takes a look at why Konohamaru might end up becoming the next Hokage when Shikamaru is removed and the political games that Kobu is playing continue to heat up. Also, now that the Boruto news has been broken over the last few days, we'll be going back to adding in more of the Patreon exclusive content that will be debuting here on YouTube that patrons have had as far back as January in some cases. So expect videos on Iwabe and Hashirama and that mega in-depth video on my favorite era in Naruto history that goes over new information that an anime-only fan of the series will likely not know. Super proud of how that one in particular has turned out. Still working on the thumbnail for that one though. So right now, Shikamaru has a massive problem. A problem so big it makes Kiba's chances of defeating Madara's perfect Susanoo look like it might be something that can happen. Kobu wants Shikamaru removed as Hokage, and he's past the point of asking, is Shikamaru guilty and should he be removed? He's advancing it to the point that he's gonna make it happen. Step one was to do his investigation, and when he saw Boruto suddenly show up to save him right before Shikamaru showed up as well to witness it, that told Kobu everything he needed to know. That led to step two, telling the Feudal Lord that the Hokage, he's compromised and he needs to be removed. Now everyone who knows how dire the situation is, they're just waiting for step three to take place, which is the removal and the replacement of Shikamaru as the 8th Hokage. Kashin Koji basically warned us that it was going to happen at the start of the Mamushi arc. He didn't go into specifics on who would replace Shikamaru as Hokage if it came to that, but he warned Shikamaru that removal was very likely. The reason why his replacement probably wasn't named by Kashin Koji is due to the fact that the future is in flux. Things can change once things lead to actions being taken to try to change a future event from occurring. As Kashin Koji warned Boruto, to know the future is to risk breaking the future. The only question left is, when the future is broken, can you rebuild it into something that serves real value in your goal to take down Jura? Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what matters most to Kashin Koji. Koji, during that short exchange, stressed the importance of Shikamaru staying on as Hokage to build his plans for the future. But, as we can see, things haven't gone the way that Koji wanted. He wanted Kobu to be killed, but Inojin couldn't agree with killing an innocent man. Then, when he tried to force Mamushi to kill him, Boruto showed up and saved Kobu at the last minute. Both boys did the morally right thing, but it may have come at the expense of Shikamaru remaining as Hokage. Some might say that is a fair trade-off. A future where an innocent like Kobu has to die, it isn't a future worth creating, but Kashin Koji might throw you off a building for even suggesting it. After the newest update to 10 directions that the story just handed down in the last Boruto Two Blue Vortex manga chapter, Boruto might have quietly shown us exactly who that replacement is to Shikamaru. The way that those film rolls at 10 directions were set up were really damning in what they revealed, and like with the last set that we got when Kawaki saved Boruto from Jura, they were set up in a way where our eyes were instinctually drawn to the bigger standout scenes, but the panels like the one that showed Mamushi's ability, they were drawn small enough for us to overlook them at first glance. That is intentional. That is how you use paneling very creatively. One of those small details is something very important. We get an image of Kobu smiling. We get Shikamaru and Konohamaru together. We get Moegi there as well. And then we get the Hokage hat and the Hokage cloak fluttering, but the person wearing the cloak is not shown at all. Obviously, 10 Directions isn't giving us as readers a convenient PowerPoint presentation explaining how every single event connects in great detail. That purpose is something that, when you do it that way, it defeats the intent of showing us all these events. However, we know that Kashin Koji sees all these alternate timelines and he retains knowledge of everything that happened. But for the purposes of the storytelling, we can't be told every single detail, because part of revealing something like this, even the fragments, is that it still holds on to the biggest questions that an author is trying to get us as the readers invested enough to ask. Why did it happen? How did we get here? And could it have been avoided? Those three questions are what you aim for anytime you as a writer take the craft approach of just give away the goods, where you just spoil something right up front. It's to make readers ask the questions. How did we get here? Why did that happen? Could it have been avoided? Shikamaru's position as the 8th Hokage, it is official, just as it was for Danzo. But it does not become set in stone until he holds the ceremony for the position, which comes after he formally gets the formality vote by the Jonin Council, which again is a formality. It's no different than how here in the United States, when votes for the president are casted and then certified by the states, the counting of the vote in the Senate is a mere formality. It was an open plot point planted into the story early on that Shikamaru had the Hokage title. He had the power and authority, but he had not yet made it official yet, despite the fact that it had been 3 years. The elders pressed him on it. Kobu also reminds Shikamaru of that when he addresses him with a clear nod to the power dynamics. It was intentional. He purposely said Lord Hokage, then he stopped, paused, and he corrected himself by calling him the interim 8th Hokage. That was intentional. That coming so soon after the elders told Shikamaru that there would be consequences, and then we saw the Feudal Lord rip into the elders about Boruto not being captured and killed. It was only a matter of time before we got here. That bill that Shikamaru had been putting off, it may have finally come due. But putting all this aside, Kobu's existing attempt to remove Shikamaru creates a very interesting possibility for the narrative of the story. Shikamaru gets removed and Konohamaru Sarutobi becomes the new 8th Hokage, which he would be the new 8th Hokage and not the 9th. Shikamaru is in the same spot as Danzo. It was not made fully official, which is why when Kakashi was brought back before the Feudal Lord, they were about to name him the 6th Hokage, despite the fact that Danzo was just called the 6th Hokage, and it was stopped because Tsunade was revealed to have woken up from her coma. It will be a very similar situation here. From Kobu's perspective, it's brilliant to pick Konohamaru. Kobu doesn't seem to have a particularly high opinion of him. Kobu already thinks that he is too dumb to think that he was being manipulated, and when he caught Konohamaru trying to protect Mitsuki during the interrogation, he knew that this was somebody who would ultimately fall in line when it came to the alignment structure of authority. That's extremely important if you're Kobu. It's an asset. It makes Konohamaru the exact opposite of Shikamaru. One can be controlled and the other is smart enough to turn the tables on you without you ever realizing what happened until it's too late. When you're dealing with the threat of Boruto like Kobu believes that he is, having a Hokage whose loyalties are up in the air, who might be assisting Boruto, and who thinks several moves ahead is the worst possible thing that you could have happen. Having someone like Konohamaru there becomes easier to manage. At least that is what you personally think given your low opinion of Konohamaru's intellect. Someone in Kobu's position chooses the useful idiot 10 times out of 10 in this scenario, and he has every reason to do so because for all of Konohamaru's faults, he is still qualified to be Hokage. People meme Konohamaru, they call him weak. I've made jokes at his expense over the years, but I have always said Boruto era Konohamaru, when you take emotion out of it, when you ignore the memes, he is a lot stronger than fans give him credit for. But that is the biggest issue, is that fans had expectations of him that he would be the second coming of Kakashi. And so with Boruto's anime and manga, he didn't get a memorable fight. That led to people thinking that he was fodder when given what glimpses of his power that we've seen. And it doesn't help that the members of Team 7 quickly surpassed him as the story went on. But looking at everything that we have, he would body his uncle Asuma in a fight, and Asuma was considered to be an elite Jonin in universe, and we saw Asuma was strong enough to hold his own against the entry point for the Akatsuki level of power, which that is Hidan. Every Akatsuki member, as a reminder, was chosen because they were S rank, which is Kage level. Shinobi who would be capable enough to take down either a Biju or an adult Jinchuriki on their own without any help. The only reason they moved in pairs was to ensure the capture of a Biju or a Jinchuriki alive. Basically, it was a built-in, hey bro, you're going a little too far in this fight. We're supposed to fight them with killing intent, but we're not actually supposed to kill the damn thing. So let me step in so we can wrap this up before you do something that's going to get us both killed by Nagato. Konohamaru on paper has what it takes to be the Hokage despite not being the strongest Leaf Village shinobi. He's not even a top 10 shinobi in the village at this point. Hokage was never about strength alone. We know from the Boruto files and the physical copies of Boruto Naruto Next Generation's manga that Konohamaru is considered to be a genius and an elite shinobi held in high regard by Naruto and Shikamaru, as well as Sasuke and some of Naruto's Kage peers. He's the nephew of Asuma, the former bodyguard for the former Feudal Lord of the Land of Fire, who happens to be the father of the current Feudal Lord. He's the student of Ebisu, who, while he's not strong himself, he was framed in terms of his reputation being that of an elite teacher who has trained shinobi to reach elite status. He was even praised by Kakashi for his skills as a teacher. Kakashi doesn't hand out praise lightly. Think of Ebisu as the coach who was not able to make it in the pros, but they had a sharp enough mind that they could coach and teach the game at a high level. He's also the grandson of the third Hokage and the child of what we know from the Naruto Road to Be one-shot manga that was released before Boruto. He is also the child of two elite Anbu Black Ops. If Konohamaru were in Game of Thrones, he'd get one of those super long entrances where somebody announces all the accolades and bloodline and etc. before they step into the room. You know to respect the man before he ever utters a word. If there were ever someone to step in as Hokage, he has enough to do it, given what historically has mattered to the Feudal Lords when it comes to appointing someone as Hokage. For Kobu, you remove the chess player with someone who meets the qualifications to be Hokage and to be approved by the Feudal Lord, but instead of having a chess player, you have someone who is more of a checkers player. Again, this is from Kobu's perspective. This is not an objective assessment of Konohamaru's intelligence or competency, merely how one character, i.e. Kobu, views him. Narratively, this also would serve as a payoff of sorts, while also not being a full payoff either. Konohamaru and Naruto promise each other in Naruto Chapter 2 that they'll one day fight each other for the title Hokage. In the perfect world, Konohamaru would face Naruto before being put forward as Hokage. Obviously, he wouldn't win the fight, but that would be your ideal payoff. However, this at least gets you close to that. Konohamaru's dream was to become Hokage. The honorable grandson ascending to that title would be good long-term storytelling. It hits harder when you consider the anime-only scene in Naruto as well, where Naruto Shippuden's anime literally changes how Naruto returns to Konoha after the 2.5-year time skip. One of those things where you've heard me say in the past, if you read Naruto's manga closely, you notice that there are small changes. A lot of them add up, but there are small changes made in the anime and manga. So in the manga, Sakura and Tsunade, they meet Naruto and Jiraiya inside the village right after Naruto gives Kakashi Jiraiya's new book. And then Konohamaru shows up with his new sexy jutsu. In the anime, you have the line where Konohamaru tells Tsunade that he'll become the 7th Hokage after Naruto becomes the 6th Hokage. You'd be paying that off, that line from the Naruto Shippuden anime. Konohamaru being Hokage after Naruto, but only if Kobu makes it official and forces Konohamaru to have that ceremony. It also would not affect the Boruto versus Kawaki battle. where the Hokage monument is blown up and you don't see an 8th Hokage's face on the stone monument, because it would be something as simple as Konohamaru's face had not been carved into the stone yet. And when we go back to Naruto's manga, we know that it takes a pretty decent amount of time for that face to get carved in, because Tsunade had been Hokage well over 3 months, and her face was not on the Hokage monument in Naruto chapter 238, which is set up just over 3 months after Naruto versus Sasuke takes place. That's where you had all those 80 or 90 filler episodes in Naruto's first anime. Her face was added at some point during that 2.5-year time skip. This would also give Konohamaru's character something that it needs desperately in Two Blue Vortex: a major narrative responsibility. While he's been a great supporting character, this would add another layer to him, given he would be navigating the political waters of the Hokage position. And no, he's only in that position due to political reasons, which means he would be under greater scrutiny, which might be what Kashin Koji was trying to avoid when it came to Shikamaru being removed. Konohamaru spent his entire life wanting this position. It will be a heartbreaking development to give him these accolades as Hokage under these circumstances, but it will also pay off stuff in Naruto's manga, just like it did with Shikamaru being Hokage. It would do the same for Konohamaru, while also furthering the political subplot. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Click here on the left, check out this Naruto Explained video, or click here on the right, check out this video that YouTube says you would definitely enjoy watching.